Happy Tuesday, everybody. How are you? Thanks so much for understanding that my brother has his thing going on and I had a planned vacation for a while, but we're gonna make this a super exciting recorded sales meeting. Momentum Club is gonna be right after and the group's gonna be running it. And let's get started. So I'm just gonna do a screen share here. Right. All right, so week of July 13th. Kind of like this one. Besides the noble art of getting things done, there is the noble art of leaving things undone. The wisdom of life consists in the elimination of non-essentials. That's Lin Yutang. So there's, I think, a lot of books. I think there is a book called The Power of No. And we do a lot of stuff throughout the day. The whirlwind gets in our way all the time. And there is the power of no. So not everything has to get done. And you need to ask yourself, is this something that could be delegated? Is it something that's important that I need to do right now? And really decide what's important, what's not essential, and what's not essential, just get it out of the way. So I like this a lot. It definitely correlates with the power of no. And that's something I've been kind of learning over the years is, there's a lot of power in no and keeping the freedom and having the time and the energy, because a lot of times a lot of this stuff sucks up your energy, having the energy to get the things that you want to get done, that plan you had, earlier in the week, or that thing you wanted to do in the morning. Sometimes the whirlwind of the day gets in the way, and you put that one aside and you work on maybe some non-essential things. So definitely maybe do a time audit and take a look to see what you might be benefiting from by just setting it aside and just not doing it. There's a level of enjoyment from that too, I think. All right, wins and celebrations. Obviously, you're not going to be talking in this recording, but maybe take a moment just to think about maybe some of the wins and celebrations you've had over the last week. They could be, having some more conversations that have a real ask attached to it. Could be a closing, could be, relationship, could be a sphere of influence contact you had, whatever it might be. Take a moment and celebrate those wins. We say you got to own your zeros, but we also have to take a moment and pat yourself on the back sometimes when you do something that is well deserved. Sale pending in our office. Congratulations to JC. Got 28 Jones Boulevard fully on the contract. So good job there. It's a beautiful photo. I like that house. We also have 41 Disc Lane in Wanto. It's a prior client of my brother's of many years ago, and he sold that one. So congrats. Let's talk market update. So market absorption rate, we took the towns of Islip, Lindenhurst, Brentwood, and Farmingdale. So Islip's looking at a market absorption rate of 1.68 months, 37 days on the market with an average price of 683. We have a low market absorption rate, but we do have higher days on market than we have seen in some other times of the year. Lindenhurst, 56 homes on the market. We have a 1.5 month absorption rate and 47 days on the market. So that's that's kind of high as far as days of market. Average list price 655. So, absorption rate's low, but homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. I mean, if I was looking at this, I would be interested in seeing what the sale ratio is, asking price to sale ratio with the 47 days on the market. I wonder if homes are selling fast, but maybe there's a little bit of a deal on some homes in Lindenhurst where buyers do have, some competitive, negotiation power. Brentwood, 1.9 months, 32 days on the market for an average list price of 667, or average list price of the homes that went on the contract. And Farmingdale has exactly a 1 month supply, 24 days on the market, which you can see is the lowest out of the four towns we used as an example, and the highest price, 730. Just looking at this, obviously Farmingdale is mostly in Nassau County. So for commuters and people coming out from, Queens and the tri-state area, it might be more desirable as far as the commute goes, as far as the main train line, and that plays a role into it. With 34 doors presentations year to date, we have a couple of price improvements. So 26 Quaker Lane in Farmingdale is at 1.325. Here's some of our office inventory. So you know how to find that on Matrix. You could go to office listings and take a look there. Some rental stuff. I know Lorraine and Maria have, New Hyde Park, 3 bedroom, 1 bath for 3,500 a month. The 1 bedroom on Main Street for 2,750 is still available, and 29 Lake Avenue in Amityville, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 2,850 plus utilities. So if you know anyone that might be looking, those are three good options. We also have a new listing coming soon. So 34 First Avenue in Farmingdale. It's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath ranch, listed for 739,999. It's a super clean house, and with Farmingdale being average on the contract price being 700 and I believe 30, this home in theory should move relatively fast. So first open house is going to be the 25th of July from 1 to 3. If you know anyone looking to purchase a house in Farmingdale, it's a great option. Send it out to your database and you'll help Maria promote it. Some office updates. So check the company hub from the link on My Weichert dashboard. So if you go into My Weichert, you're on the dashboard, you're going to see a link just above on the top side, and you click on it, it's going to take you to the company hub. And we do have a new deal sheet. It's a little cleaner, a little easier to fill out, and you could definitely check that out. Our team. So if you know anyone looking to join our team, maybe a licensed agent, maybe somebody not licensed at all, let us know. Albert just made a really warm introduction of somebody in school, so good job, Albert. And Albert would be allowed to get that Weichert for life. So I don't think we have a slide here, but Weichert for life, as long as Albert's here and that other agent's here, he's going to get 10% of our company dollar for all of that person's production, all just for just a warm introduction. So good job. So we're in the middle of Momentum Club, and one of the things we're focusing on, about the Momentum Club, for those of you that don't know, it's a small committed group built on weekly activity tracking, focused on high-based behaviors. And we did incorporate personal commitments as well. So if somebody has personal commitments, business commitments, they say them out loud, and the statistics on achieving whatever commitments you put down on that piece of paper, when you have a plan and you share it with others, statistically, you have a huge advantage in actually achieving those goals and those commitments. So it's designed to create momentum, confidence, and income. It's not a sales meeting. It's not a lecture. It's not a motivational session. It's a performance system. So we're currently working on focusing on conversations, having more conversations throughout the week, and not just real estate conversations, but real estate conversations with an ask. And we've been talking about different types of asks. So if somebody, you had a real estate conversation, that the best ask is, hey, let's set up an appointment. If they own a house, let's set up an appointment to go to your house and put together a pricing recommendation for you. Most conversations are not going to be able to have that big ask. So there's other asks you can have. For instance, you could ask for an email address to send over some really, really good investment opportunities if that conversation seems like that person might be interested in some investments. Maybe it's an ask just to get an email address to share some market reports of what they're doing. So whatever it might be, every conversation has to be an ask. Maybe it's a charity you're working with, or a drive you're doing, or just how you're collecting some items for St. Killian's. That could be an ask. You have a really good real estate conversation. You say, by the way, I'm stopping by a few of my sphere of influence, a few of my contacts, a few of my past clients, and they're going to just be leaving a grocery bag on their stoop, and I'm going to be collecting those and bringing them to St. Killian's Food Pantry, doing it like Thursday evening. Would you have any kind of stuff in your cabinet that you want to get rid of, canned items or anything like that? Put them in a bag and let me know, and I can pick it up Thursday evening. It's a great way to have that ask. And then you go, and then maybe you do a follow up on how much you love the landscaping or how much the new, steps really tie the house together and they're beautiful. Whatever it might be. That's how you continue these conversations and get yourself to the next level of not just small talk, but being looked at as the real estate professional. All right, so national updates. So Fast Track is on there. We also have our Fast Track recordings on our company hub. So you go to the company hub, you click the Fast Track portion, and you'll be able to cherry pick which videos you might want to see. It's a great way to get a refresher. I think everyone should be doing session 5 and 6 again, getting to know you, the pre-listing packet, and then mastering our doors listing presentation. So that's something that I think everyone should do. Wednesday webinars, go to whitecoatevents.com to sign up. Some new ones you have is Market Reel. I know we showed some videos on that. If you missed it, you could click on that one. That one already happened. Automated marketing packages on 7/15. New to my Whitecurt Studio. This is what I was telling you about how we can automate some of the stuff on my marketing studio, which is pretty cool. And then my Whitecurt Streams app. So it's a really clean app. It's tied into your MyWhitecurt and your CRM. So I think everyone should, pencil that in so that we can learn some of the cool features that you could do with it. Success Track done monthly. It's a refresher of all the tools you have access to. There is a motivational component to it as well. Get you more focused and better results. So check that out. You can register. And the next one, I don't know if it's out yet because this one was July 2nd, but go on to whitecoatevents.com and you can see what is coming up next. Here is a screenshot of our company hub. So if you see here on the left-hand side, you got the forms where we have the new deal sheet. Underneath it, you have Fast Track and some other good resources. So check this out for sure. Whitecurt Live Well, if you're looking to price out some health insurance, dental, pet insurance, eye, whatever it might be, we have access to these sort of things for you if you did want to price it out and see if it makes sense. Definitely make sure you're on the Facebook group for Whitecurt Affiliate Sales Associates. That's agents all across the country. Great way to network, great way to get connections. And if you have specific questions that you want to ask on a national level to get some feedback from some other agents outside of this office that do use the Whitecurt tools and systems, it's a great way to do that. WhatsApp, so make sure you are on our WhatsApp chat. That's where a lot of our communication is done. So if you're not on it, contact Maria for details. All right, so doors presentation. Last week we did pages 1, 2, and 3. This week we're going to do the next 3 pages. So let's get right into it. So this is about your teamwork, right? So my team works together to give your home a competitive advantage. So again, just like last week, I'm gonna read kind of what this says, and then I'll do it myself. Now, everyone has the ability to customize their doors presentation. So if you do nothing, Maria is going to print out a really good doors presentation, and it's going to have a lot of good information. It's going to be custom to the client, custom to you. But if you have certain referral partners that you want to add into this, there's an additional sheet where you can have, I think, 6 or 8 additional partners. You could add a mortgage lender you like. You could add attorney that you work with. You can add anybody you want. So keep that in mind. So I have a true in-house team of experts in all areas of real estate transactions. It's not a pieced together team. We work together all with the same goal to give you a competitive advantage. My marketing specialist will help strategize the development with marketing materials to promote your home and reach targeted buyers. My mortgage advisor will review and pre-approve potential buyers so that we stay on track with your timing and closing date. My closing advisor, insurance advisor, and home protection services advisor can provide the buyer of your home with a seamless and distinctive customer experience, an important strategy to add value to your home in the eyes of the buyer. I'm also ready with resources to find your next home. Whether you're staying local or moving out of the area, I have all the resources and connections you need to make this best possible purchase. So it's a way to introduce 2 things, really. Let them know that you're a project manager. My job is not just to sell your house. My job is to be your project manager and oversee everything. And I have a team that is going to make this so seamless, not just for yourself, but for the buyer. And when the buyer has a good experience, it's going to have this luxurious feel where they're going to want to work with us. They're going to want to buy your house, and we're going to make sure that the timeline fits your needs, and it's going to be a seamless process with no stresses. Let me introduce you to my team. Maria is our marketing coordinator. She's going to help with a lot of the behind the back parts of getting the listing live. We're going to have professional photos, professional flyers. We're going to make sure that everything that we go over on an internet strategy that in a few pages actually happens. And one of the things I want to really make sure that you understand is with my team, we're going to make sure that everything gets done. I have systems for everything. And it's better than other agents and other people in our industry that just kind of shoot at the hip. And unfortunately, when people do that, some things could be missed or left out. I'm making a commitment to you that everything that we go over in this marketing plan actually happens and happens effectively. So there's kind of some contrast of some of the touch points that I talk about, as well as how this dialogue is as far as the generic training. All right, so now that we went over that, we're going to talk about preparing your home for sale. So now let's talk about prepping your home. It's a key strategy to get top dollar. I took photos to show you some of the areas we should address or highlight. Here are my recommendations that will make your home stand out from its competition. Overall, we want each room prepped for maximum marketability. I think you could read this pretty much how it is. I think it's pretty good. One of the good things about this page is you could actually get some feedback too. So one of the things I kind of lead with is, years ago, curb appeal happened at the house. Nowadays, curb appeal actually happens with their phone. The first time they're seeing the house, a lot of times it's on a tablet, a computer, or a phone. And it's important that we prepare the house and make sure that we have that good first impression as far as getting top dollar. Now, you mentioned a few of the updates that we've done, that you've done over the years in the house. Let me ask you a question. If you wanted to focus on one specific part of the house, something that you think adds huge value and buyers would be super interested in, which part of the house do you think that might be? And then get an answer. And you're going to get some good feedback on that. You're going to probably, you know, agree with them and make sure that you let them know that your photographer is going to make sure that we feature that, take additional photos of that, and highlight that. It's also a good way to see if you can get some feedback on what they think might need some addressing. Most people want to hear if there's something that needs to be addressed, but a lot of times homeowners kind of already know that. So again, you could read this pretty much step by step, word for word, but I always like to get feedback from them and use my photographer as a tool on how we're going to emphasize and feature that specific thing that they mention. Staging the ultimate game changer. So I'm going to read this and I'm going to have some thoughts for you. Part of our prep of your home is staging. Staging is styling to showcase space and create a depersonalized view of your home to attract a larger pool of buyers. It's not decorating. Staged homes sell faster and at a higher price because it does two things. First, it attracts online browsers to get them excited to visit your home. Second, once they visit your home, it creates a vibe and makes buyers envision themselves at home. I will handle all of this using our existing furniture once we complete the recommendations on the prep. Once the home is prepped and staged, the next step is to capture the home's best qualities. So, as far as regionally here, staging is not something that is super popular. It's not something that's done all the time. So, what I want to kind of talk about on this page is the importance of staging with their existing furniture. And I like to touch on some other things like, keeping all the stuff off the cabinets. I'm sorry, countertops. Maybe if there is a lot of personal items, maybe depersonalizing it a little bit. If it's really well staged, where it's kind of show ready, give them that compliment. Let them know, you already have such beautiful furniture in such great areas. I don't have any recommendations as far as where the furniture should go. However, for the day of photos, we do need to remove that toaster, coffee maker, mixing bowl, whatever that might be, and it gives you the ability to give some suggestions. And you can talk about some of the stats. Staged homes are more likely to attract online buyers. Staging creates a powerful first impression and makes potentials feel at home. I use a real example during this. I mention, especially if somebody has children or a lot of stuff that was collected over the years, I talk about how I sold my first house. And at the time, I had two kids, one on the way, and how I had so much toys and so much stuff all over the place. And after I took the photos, put the house online, I had loved ones that called me and said, "Where'd you put all your stuff? It looks like no one lives there." And it's just an example of how even when things are, people have a lot of things, you can take the furniture you already have, the space you already have, and remove certain things. That way it does look like a staged house with the people's existing stuff. So just some thoughts on that. All right. Let's talk about objection handling with sellers. So last week we did talk about objection handling more specifically for buyers. Now we're going to work with sellers. So handling objections is one of the most difficult parts of any sales career, and real estate is no exception. However, there is both science to handling objections and an art to using dialogue to move a conversation to the next step. Excuse me. Associates who prevent customers from becoming defensive take the time to understand their concerns and respond with value are well positioned to guide them through the next step. You don't want to kind of barrel over their objections, right? You want certain things, you want to do certain things during those objections to make sure they understand that they're being heard, that you understand, and then, isolate and address those objections. So where do objections happen? They occur when moving the customer to the next step. So we talked about this last week. Today we're going to focus on seller objections and the two steps where objections commonly arise. So sometimes you may have a lead. You know they own a house, you know they need to sell in order to buy, or they're, exploring the idea of selling, whatever that might be. Getting that lead to setting an appointment sometimes is a challenge. A lot of times it's because maybe they're not ready at this particular moment, and they, believe it or not, some people are courteous of people's time, and they don't want to, they feel like they're wasting your time by bringing them in early. Another spot is during the consultation and getting them to sign the agreement. So they know they're looking to sell their house. They are interviewing agents, but naturally, you're going to get some objections in signing that paperwork. So we're going to use the four-step process to handle every objection throughout the sales process. All right. So here's the fourth step. So first thing you're going to do is acknowledge. Again, you want that person to understand that you hear them. So you're going to validate the concern. It lowers resistance by making them feel heard and understood. Again, you don't want to just barrel over. You want to understand it and show empathy, and you're going to get a better response to your objection handling when you do that. So some examples of that is, I understand why you feel that way. I hear that you feel very strongly about this. So those are kind of some things you could do to make sure they understand that you're acknowledging them. The other thing is to clarify. So ask questions before responding and listen carefully to their responses. You may get an objection, and again, we talked about this last week, but sometimes that objection is like an onion and you got to peel it. And you're going to learn that that objection is, maybe a little more granular or a little more specific. So clarifying and answering those questions might uncover what the real objection is. You want to approach with curiosity to understand the real concern. Can you tell me more about why you feel so strongly about this? Um, you know, you talk about acknowledging. I understand why you feel this way. Was there a prior, experience, and is that why there's a concern there? Learn what the real motivation is, or the resistance is, and you're going to do a much better job being able to respond to it. So listen to understand, not to respond. Then you're going to respond with value. So you're going to provide guidance and expertise. Again, I like to use examples, use data, experience, which is examples, and process. Position yourself as a trusted advisor with your unique value proposition. Here's another example. My listing sold for 108% of list price, which is 5% higher than the average realtor. that more than makes up the difference. But my listings are on the market 14 days less, selling your home faster too. So look up your stats, maybe look up the office stats and see if that is something that you can use in your response. So you want to educate, differentiate, build belief in your value. So, one example might be as far as objection handling, I want to interview other agents. And you might first acknowledge, I understand why you want to interview other agents. And frankly, I think that's a very good practice. In your research, how many other agents did they recommend that you interview? So now I ask the question, right? Before I'm trying to clarify what they're trying to do. And they might say something to the effect of, well, we want to interview 2 to 3 agents. Uh, I understand 2 or 3 agents. That's actually what I would recommend as well. Have you interviewed any agents before me? Again, you're going to get some questions. Then you're going to want to respond with value. So you're going to want to differentiate yourself here. Uh, I understand you want to interview 2 or 3 agents. That's actually what I recommend to people who are interested in getting, interviewing other agents as well. It sounds like you interviewed one already on the second one, and then you have another one coming up. One of the things I just want to mention is you got to make sure that we compare apples to apples. Unfortunately, in our industry, sometimes they're marketing that they do is a lot less than what I do. So one of the things I want to focus in on is our online strategy. So most homes are viewed online before they actually make an appointment. So whoever you interview or have interviewed, make sure that you fully understand what their online strategy is. Again, you don't want to be in a position where somebody just puts it on MLS and hopes for the best. One of the things I do with my online strategy is I have multiple streams of marketing that's going to lead towards maximum exposure for your house. And I've found that in doing that, we are actually on the market 14 days less than the average realtor listing homes. You mentioned that timing is rather important to you. And I just want to make sure that you fully understand that. So then you're going to want to advance and move to the next step. Invite to an appointment or consultation, especially, this is more of an example of trying to get that first appointment. Let's meet to get together. Let's meet to go through this together. How's Tuesday at 3 or Wednesday at 11? So you want to create momentum. You want to go over next steps, get the appointment, and again, take the next step. So some common seller objections. We're not in a hurry to sell. We need to find a home before we sell. We want a higher list price to leave room for negotiation. We need to do some work on the house first. We have other agents to interview. Your commission's too high. So we'll just kind of get into a few. We're not in a hurry to sell. I totally understand, and I know you mentioned that you're not in a hurry, and ideally you're looking maybe in 2027. One of the things I do for clients in your position is I put together a summary pricing strategy where just so you get your ducks in a row, fully understand where you're at as far as once you do sell, how much you're going to net for the house, how much you're going to get. And also, I'll just leave you with some general information about marketing to keep you just fully understanding what I would do to properly market the house. And frankly, I find that I'm actually the perfect person for those that aren't in a hurry because I provide you with all this information and then within reason, just kind of leave you alone until you're ready. So when might be a good time for me to get this information over to you? Would this Friday work or Saturday better? So that's a version of what you might be able to respond to. We need to find a home before we sell. Mr. Seller, I understand that you need to find a home before you sell. And frankly, a lot of my prior clients and a couple of my current clients are in the exact same situation. And one of the things they really valued when sitting down with me is putting together a real roadmap on how you could do this. And also, when you do find that right house, having all your ducks in a row to get your house on the market, because a lot of people who are looking to buy before they sell actually want sort of a simultaneous closing. Is that something that you see value in, finding the house and then getting your listing to kind of catch up where they close at the same time? Great. Let me show you how we can do that. Again, I could get together at, Friday afternoon or a Saturday better. So there's a couple of different examples. We kind of got into this. All right, so we're not in a hurry to sell. You can read this later, but you heard my take on it. We need to find a home before we sell. Again, I kind of did this one, so you can read this later, and you already heard my take on it. We want a higher list price to leave room for negotiation. So I completely understand why you want to leave room for negotiation. Many sellers feel that pricing higher gives them more flexibility. Can you tell me what concerns you most about pricing where I'm recommending? Are you worried about leaving money on the table? Chances are they're going to say yes, or they just want to leave room for negotiation. It's a fair concern. The challenge is that buyers search by price range. So pricing too high can actually reduce your exposure and eliminate qualified buyers before they ever see your home. My pricing strategy is designed to generate the greatest amount of interest, create competition, and ultimately maximize your net proceeds, not simply your asking price. If we can agree that attracting the largest pool of qualified buyers gives you the best opportunity for top dollar, are you comfortable moving forward with this pricing strategy? Now, I'm going to tell you, if you're looking to get them to list and you're somewhat in reason on what the list price should be, but maybe not total agreement, I am not going to let this be an objection to get them not to sign the agreement. So one of the strategies I use is, all right, so I understand you're looking to price it a little higher. My recommendation is going to be, let's get the photos, let's get this agreement signed up so we can begin our marketing and get our ducks in a row. And when we are ready to put it on the market, what I think we should both do is look at the MLS, see what's available on the market, and identify a couple of houses that if somebody was interested in making an appointment to see yours, what other homes might they also want to buy? What they would also want to see. And we'll see where they're priced and look at the pictures and look at the listings. And we may strategically say we should be higher than this house, maybe slightly lower than this house. But the decision is going to be yours, but it's also going to be by design, where we look at these, identify these other priced houses, and by design, strategically decide where we want to be in comparison to them, because that's your active competition. If a buyer is interested in your house, they're also probably going to see those that we identify, and we want to be strategic in where we price it. How's that sound? Let's get started. We need to do some work on the house. That makes total sense. You want to make sure the home is in good shape before moving forward. What type of work are you thinking needs to be done? More cosmetic updates, repairs, or are there bigger items you're concerned about? Respond with value. So that's smart. The key thing is not all improvements actually increase sale price or reduce time on market. In today's market, some updates have a strong return of equity, while others don't fully reflect in the buyer's offers. I can walk you through what buyers actually respond to in your specific price range and neighborhood so we don't spend time or money on things that won't move the needle. Would it make sense to walk through the home together and prioritize what truly is worth doing before you invest in any work? I like that. Pretty much how it's written. Obviously, I would tweak it to my own words, but I like that. We have other agents to interview. That makes sense. It's the biggest decision. It's smart to speak with a few agents before you choose who you want to work with. What are you hoping to compare most between agents? Is it pricing strategy, marketing approach, communication, or something else that matters most to you? That's helpful to know. Most agents will say similar things at a high level, but the real difference shows up in the details. That includes how they determine list price based on real buyer activity, how they position the home before it hits the market, and how they adjust if the first week does not produce the response you want. Where I add value is helping you see the full strategy up front so you're not guessing later. You will know how we plan to launch the home and what we do depending on how the buyers react. Would it make sense to meet so you have a clear strategy from me as one of your comparisons before you speak with other agents? Can you reduce my commission? I appreciate you asking. I completely understand wanting to maximize your net proceeds while selling your home. Before we talk about adjusting commission, may I ask you a question? If I could help you sell your home faster for a higher price with fewer complications and less stress, would it be worth the investment in professional representation? Um, my fee is not based on simply putting a sign in your yard and entering it into MLS. It reflects strategy of marketing, negotiation, and guidance I provide throughout the entire process. My goal is to protect your equity and help you achieve the strongest possible outcome. In many cases, a strong negotiation strategy can more than offset any difference in commission. My listings sell on average for 108. We kind of went over this. We can have a whole hour conversation on commissions, and we can absolutely do that. So reach out if you want to. All right, so we could work on this another time, but one of the things you could do in practice this week, partner up with the seller objections, and there's a skill you want to acknowledge, clarify, provide value, and advance it to the next steps. And there's a little rating system you can reflect back on and see how you did. So, in summary, objections are not signs that a customer is not interested. They're opportunities. And again, I've said this last week, objections are good because that means they see working with you. The four-step objection handling process provides a consistent framework. So again, you really want to acknowledge it, clarify it, provide value, and advance it to the next steps. One of the things you hear about objections is you want to isolate it, right? You want to have it on its own. And that's kind of what you do when you acknowledge and clarify, and then you could address it. Make sure you check out the streams. I know some of you that have droids don't have access to that yet, but I think by the end of the month you will. Um, really, really awesome app that's tied into my Whitegrid, so check that out. And you got the YouTube video on how to add a contact and listing alerts on the go. Find hot leads in your system on the go. And remembering important tasks to keep you on track and top of mind. So that's all I got for now. For those of you in the Momentum Club, kick some butt in there and work on your commitments. And I hope everybody has a great week. Reach out to me if you need me.